Welcome everyone to Voices in Hyperspace, where a group of friends get together to discuss all things sci-fi. Our main mission is to watch, review, and have fun with the 1990s sci-fi epic Babylon 5. We're in season 2, and I think we're almost halfway through season 2. We're very close. And let me introduce myself. I'm Legendary Black Lion.
I'm Captain No Asylum.
I'm the Rebel Nita.
Hey y'all, this is Sunday.
And we are looking at Hunter Prey. And it's really cool because there is a lot of stuff happening in the episode, even though the episode itself has like a pretty simple story. We got a doctor that's on the run. Sheridan and crew are finding that their loyalty is challenged because the doctor has information about the current president, which may lead to evidence that shows that the previous president was assassinated. Yeah. And we have a couple of guests for this episode, which I thought was really cool. We have Bernie Casey as Derek Cranston. Well, he passed away in 2017, but he's a black actor who's appeared in all kinds of things. A lot of his credits are in blaxploitation films, but he's done comedy. He's done a lot of sci-fi, and he has a face that you just recognize. And apparently, he was a former U.S. NFL, like a football player, and he was able to make that transition. Which, you know, a couple of football players did that back in the day. You know, going from playing football to acting. The other person that I wanted to point out was Wanda DeJesus. She plays Sarah. She's kind of like the informant that Captain Sheridan meets with secretly. She was a person I was like, what is her nationality? I looked it up. I was like, really? And I found a bunch of shows and stuff that she's in now. She's in her 60s and she looks the same basically. Like it's wild. This episode I think they took time to have a couple of deep discussions that the characters have been kind of hinting at, but they didn't get too much into. And that's kind of where we start. So Garibaldi, he's searching for Sheridan and Ivanova, and that leads him down to Bay 13. And that's where they're all looking at Kosh's ship. And they're just talking, wondering like, you know, what's up with this thing? You know, they're about 1,000 years ahead of us technology wise. And then the ship pulls a gun out on Sheridan.
It put a laser beam thing. It points one-eyed snake right.
Whoa. I mean,
at Sheridan.
You know you in the wrong neighborhood when the ship puts a gun out on you.
Back.
Right. But that just speaks to like the defenses that the ship has. And they're all like, cool, we can't talk here. Let's go elsewhere. I don't want to talk in front of that thing. Which, okay, yeah, with what we know about the Vorlons, no, let's not talk in front of any of their technology. Especially Sheridan. That dude was kidnapped and tortured, and the only person that he thought of was Kosh. And that does come up in the episode. And like, would you be bothered if you was being tortured and the thing that you think about is the one person you know nothing about, and they're talking to you? I don't
know. Maybe he made a connection between like not understanding why he was kidnapped or who has kidnapped him with. I don't understand Kosh either. He could have did this.
Ooh, you know, that's a good point. So Ivanova, she does talk about how the maintenance workers in Bay 13 just didn't want to work there anymore because it was like, yeah, we dream about the ship and it sings to us. And I got a lot of questions like, do they not keep record of these reports? Because wouldn't there be some sort of like guidelines around dealing with Vorlon technology, the Vorlon ships? I don't know.
No, because they just met the Vorlons. He's the first one they met, and they haven't really met him yet. So,
except for that one that came and, well, oh wait, no, it was Kosh. No, it was some Vorlon ships that came to blow up some other stuff, but Kosh blew up another ship. Yeah,
he just came in, but like they've only known him for less than 3 years, apparently.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
How do they not know that the ship has the self-defense mechanism if you got a whole crew of people that won't go in that bay anymore? Like, why doesn't Sheridan have the memo? Like, give it 50 feet.
Right.
But people just too scared to report. Like, you think that would be important? You wouldn't want other people to get shot.
Or is Earth Force? I keep saying Earth Core. Or is Earth Force being just petty about it, and they're like, "Oh, you don't like being around that ship? Guess where you got to work today? Because y'all had that strike last year. Y'all got to work around the ship that you don't like, so you can be tortured."
Oh yeah.
So when they go back to their office, Garibaldi is explaining that Earth Force told them there is a doctor, Dr. Jacobs. He was originally the president's personal doctor. Not anymore. He's on the run. He's a fugitive. He has information that can take down Earth Force, and he needs to be stopped. Any means necessary. That means y'all can kill him if you want. Yeah, you can shoot him if you want. You know,
give him wet willies, a wedgie, an atomic wedgie if you have to.
Any means necessary. Stop this man.
The kill on sight, it just sounds a little familiar. That's all.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm keeping that in.
Yeah, well, they can't have evidence. They're trying to hide evidence that the current president is a part of the assassination of the past president.
Yeah.
So that's why it's kill on that's why I felt like it was kill on sight.
Yeah, they want to cover their tracks. That Dr. Jacobs has information that shows that the current president actually, when they were having their tour of Io, he got off due to a quote unquote bacterial infection or a viral infection, and the doctor has proof that like, nope, that's not why he got off. He wasn't sick at all. He was just desperate to get off Earth Force One because he knew that shit was gonna blow up. And of course they don't want him to know that. They don't want anyone to know that. And this is kind of where we get the intrigue. The Babylon 5 crew, at least Ivanova, Garibaldi, Sheridan, and Franklin, they know that there's this like shadow war happening within Earth Force, and they've already picked a side. What's that guy's name? General Hark, the one with the really nice voice that showed up twice this season. You know, they had the conversation about him, and so we know that they're on the side of quote unquote good ? So just gotta recap, what they're fighting is the telepaths attempting to take over Earth Force through different political channels, right? And apparently the current president was placed there after the assassination, but that government is like authoritarian. They already have Psi-Corps on their side, and Psi-Corps is just a bunch of space Nazis. We know that, and they got special powers. They're the thought police, and there are certain agents and people in place around Earth Force to make sure that these other plans are easily executed. And people like Dr. Jacobs are loose ends, and they need to tighten the noose around these loose ends. What we see, we come back from the intro, which was very chipper. We see Dr. Jacobs, which I complained about his look because he looks like a bewildered person. And Sunday was telling me like, oh, well, he's tired. He hasn't slept. And I'm like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. But also,
stimulants.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, something that someone else says makes a lot of sense too. I'll mention that when we get there. But he looks so out of place. He looks lost. He talks to one of the merchants on Babylon 5, and he does everything wrong. He's like, the guy's like, hey, can I help you? He's like, no, I'm just looking. And then he's like, hey, I hear you can get special things. And I'm like, nobody talks like that. And the guy's like, I don't know. What do you mean special? And Jacobs is like, an identicard. I'll pay you anything for it. And the guy's like, no deal. You want it too bad. I need to get out of here. He closes. That dude closes for the day because of the dumb doctor.
It reminded me of my first time going to a dispensary.
Oh,
and I walked in there and I'm looking around. They're like, can I help you? And I said, I'm here to buy the weed. The weed? It's like, yes. What kind of weeds? I was like, I don't know.
Oh, God.
Or indica or sativa or whatever it is. And I'm like, yes.
I'm here to buy 2 weeds, please.
I was weird the first time too. I went in and was telling them that I was looking for something to put in my hookah, and they're like, "You want?" I was looking at the tobacco, and he's like, "We got this too," and he pulls out a little canister of like flowers, and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Those are pretty, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Speaking of pretty, the first edibles that I bought were in a green bag because I like the color green. So
Cool
That's
story.
So
we meet from Earth Force, Mr. Derek Cranston, because one, I laugh at his name because I know Bryan Cranston, Walter White, Breaking Bad, also Malcolm in the Middle, not in this episode, but it's Bernie Casey. I believe he's in Star Trek as well. Bernie has. Mm-hmm. So he's from Earth Force Special Intelligence, which means he's a CIA agent. He's a spook. I can't use that right now, can I? You know what?
Spook?
Yeah, I'm not gonna use that because it means too many different things. So let's rewind. He's a narc.
No, okay.
Okay. So
okay. CIA.
He's CIA, and he's coordinating the search for Dr. Jacobs, and he's basically telling everybody like, oh yeah, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna come in, and he stole a bunch of information, and he's a dangerous person. Yeah, but trust me in the government. He's dangerous. We need to take him down. just like any other time, the main crew, Garibaldi, everybody, they're like, Earth Force is sending somebody here just to take over the station. We don't really know if this is on the up and up. What I have to say is I think this is where I'm starting to feel like Sheridan is growing on me more, because he welcomes these people just very warmly, open arms. He doesn't do anything weird. You know what I mean? And he's like, well, if we gotta find Jacobs, we gotta find him. But I wish we had a little bit of a heads up of what was going on, right? And it turns out that the Cranston is going to use the security people and all of those people to help sweep the station. And it's a little crazy because there's a lot of effort into finding this one dude who's a doctor. It kind of sets off some alarm bells for me, but I don't know. What we also learn is that Dr. Franklin, our friend Stephen F. Franklin, he learned under Dr. Jacobs. He was a former student at Harvard. Yeah. Uh-huh. We learn later in the episode that he had Franklin says 4.0, Jacob says 3.7. That highly offended him.
That's funny, because how do you remember the GPA of all your students when they graduate?
First of all,
because you remember him, he was going to Babylon 5.
I have a feeling it's because he knew that Franklin was a military brat, and he just couldn't. He was like, I can't give this jerk a 4.0. Anyway.
Remember, he could have got a 4.0 if he was being tutored.
Yeah, true.
He was traumatized being that guy's teacher. That's why he remembered so clearly.
They probably traumatized each other.
Knowing Franklin. Dad was like harassing the teacher.
My son deserves a 4.0. No son of mine is going to be a failure. He has a 3.7. I don't care. That's a B. That's how he talks.
Richard.
Yeah. So, this is where we have this really cool meeting between Sheridan and I believe her name is Sarah, with Sheridan and Sarah. And this scene, okay, I know we talk a lot about Babylon 5 and all this and that. We make fun of stuff, but this scene is a genius scene. So what happens? The crew is they're all agreeing like, oh yeah, we're going to help find Jacobs. Then Sheridan and Garibaldi, they're walking away, and Sheridan's on like trying to figure out like what's going on. And then he looks up, and on one of the vents on one of the walls, he sees a piece of ribbon tied. And he immediately, takes a pause. He's distracted, of course. And he tells Garibaldi, like, hey, there's something I got to do. You keep going and I'll catch up with you later. And let me point this out. Garibaldi is a dumbass because that is just weird to me. He didn't pick up on it at all. But do y'all think Garibaldi knows that the captain is having these meetings? Did he reveal that much? I don't know.
I mean, that's how, like, they're all in on it, so he's got to know that he's getting the information at some point.
He has to somehow, right? He's probably covering his back by like not seeing things. Sheridan, he sneaks somewhere. It's a isolated place, and he meets with Sarah. Sarah is his contact between him and Jennifer Haig. And all right, so the scene is like this. She comes out of the shadows and she's on a platform, and she takes positions at the beginning of the conversation that are above Sheridan, and he has to look up. And I'm like, that is such an interesting way to tell this story. She's very confident at the beginning, and she's all saying like, yeah, we have the information about Dr. Jacobs. But then as she's recounting everything that they already know is about the assassination, about people trying to take over people in the government, or, people trying to take over the government, she comes down to eye level with him. And then when she says, we need you to do these things, she comes beneath him. Like her head is like she's a whole head below, like shorter than him. And I was just like, that's really cool, because like to the audience, she's a spy, and the spies know things. In this context, everything that they know is thrown out the window, and they need Sheridan to help. And so once she's underneath him, that's when he gets like very frustrated. He's like, you should have told us, because we could have had time to prepare, and we would have been able to protect them. But now we gotta improvise. You guys are improvising. She was like, he wasn't even supposed to be here, but some things happened. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And she still has this swagger about her. It's like, look, yeah, we know all this stuff happened, but you gotta fix it. And then she just like bounces off, just like, yeah, I told him.
They do use a lot of cinematography to portray things in the story that's not in the script.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, it makes it a lot more fuller, which is good. It came across. They do a good job of making it kind of spooky, but at the same time realistic, I guess.
Yeah, it came across really nice. The actress that plays Sarah, I think she found her rhythm early in her career, because she rocked that role. She made you feel like she knew some stuff that nobody knew, and you don't want to know what she knows. And she also, I mean, granted, she next to Sheridan, she looks like she's 4 feet tall, but she looks like she would hurt somebody.
If I tell you, then I have to kill you.
Right. Right. She looked like she was like very close to pulling that gun just in case she needed it. And you know she had a gun. Oh, in that scene she like blocks this frequencies and all that stuff. She put something else down. But I'm like, you know what? She would shoot him. She would totally shoot him if she needed to. It's not a problem. So basically what happens next is Sheridan contacts Garibaldi requesting a meeting immediately in his quarters. And at the same time, Garibaldi he brings Franklin in, and they're all gonna meet in a place in civilian attire. So basically, Sheridan gives Garibaldi the heads up, and we get to see some fun stuff. So we got Garibaldi. Garibaldi's over there gearing up. And I was telling Sunday, because we were watching it together, I was telling Sunday, I'm like, man, his clothes actually look pretty nice. You know, they still have that 90s
look,
that 90s aesthetic to him, because it's slightly baggy, very colorful. He's wearing slacks, got on a colorful shirt, overalls.
Oh, freaking pleats.
Yeah, the pleats. Then
I have pleats.
Then he ruins the whole thing by putting on this ugly brown jacket. And he's explaining he's basically explaining to Franklin, like, we got to go undercover because I don't want to put my people in danger. That makes sense, right? I
think he was cosplaying as Indiana Jones.
It was like a blend between Indiana Jones and Dick Tracy.
Yeah. And
like he put on that hat and I'm like, I know he didn't just put on the fedora.
He is Inspector Gadget.
That hat, everything was wrong with that hat. It didn't fit his head right. It looked too big. And that's his disguise to blend in. Franklin, on the other hand, is wearing this ugly blue bomber jacket. They stand out. They look like two cops undercover.
It's like y'all don't know how to dress like you was from Down Below.
Yeah, that's their thing. Which makes me think, like, is Down Below cold? It's a lot of people wearing jackets and cardigans and stuff like that. It would make sense for it to be cold.
Because that's not a place where they prioritize.
Yeah.
But however, it's also closer to the outside, so there would be friction from the spinning, which would create heat. Oh, I don't know. But I also feel like it is a cinematic decision to make them look homeless. Like
oh God. Yeah, it looks bad. Like, I always got to point this out when we do visit Down Below. Like, there are poor people and homeless people on a space station, an Earth Force funded space station. Anyway, so the idea is Garibaldi thinks Franklin is going to help, like his close relationship with Jacobs is going to help them track him down. And so they're basically going to be on foot going through Down Below trying to find this guy. In the meantime, our friend Dr. Jacobs wander around bewildered. Yes, whatever. He's tired. He doesn't know what he's doing. And he immediately runs into Bull from Night Court.
Oh, that's what he is. I was like, I know this guy from somewhere.
Yes.
And he always played bad guys in like a lot of kids shows.
He's huge. He's humongous. So,
and he always plays the same character no matter what.
Yeah, he looked like he had some sort of wrestler aesthetic to him. He had the facial hair, of course, but he had kind of like this weird mullet thing going on. And oh God, we'll talk about the glasses when we get there. So 90s. Yeah, basically, Dr. Jacobs gets accosted by Max and his friend, and they're like, hey, you don't belong here, you got money. Jacobs is like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, dude, you're a doctor, they know what you look. We know. Granted, that is a more like a Mr. Rogers style suit that you're wearing, but it's expensive and people can tell.
He was like, what?
Right. And so they kidnap him, and they're like searching his stuff to be like, what you got that's worth something. I like this though. Max, they depicted his street smarts pretty well, because there's like, are you buying or selling? Of course, the doctor's being all chill. He's like, oh, you're on the run. He's like, who you running from? Why you running? Why you running?
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Yeah. And they're searching all his stuff. They find his watch, which I thought that was a cool detail. They're like, hey, we can get some money from that. They find his dictaphone. That's what it is. It's a dictaphone.
Oh, what?
It's a dictaphone. You can record things. You dictate to it. Dictaphone. And then they search through his jacket, and they're like, oh, you got a secret pocket. You've been holding out on us. Found the data crystal that has all the information, because Dr. Jacobs is a genius, and he knows how to sneak information through through places.
He was winging it.
I'll put it in this fake pocket. Nobody will look there.
And it would have sucked if he like actually had some of the connections that Franklin had when he was smuggling people.
Right.
It wasn't like a whole group of doctors that like he could. But apparently he's not part of that. Such a humanitarian. Okay.
Right. I miss two parts, but they're not super important. They explain Cranston's search methods, because remember where he was with the security team and he was explaining like, hey, we need to find this doctor, and they're like, hey, this place is 5 miles long. How are we gonna find one person? And they pull out that little radio thingy, that handheld thing with the screen, and that's fine, whatever. But this is a part that I thought was kind of disgusting. When security is down below using the machine, they're over there grabbing people by their faces and their heads, shining flashlights in their faces.
Yeah.
And I'm like, y'all supposed to be the good guys. You're not supposed to just be like randomly assaulting people down there. But they don't care. They really don't care. What's his name? Zach got a slight blip that the doctor was close by before he ran away into a elevator. But then they lost him, and then they were like, hey, we need to report this.
So then, like, they didn't need to be all up in everybody's face.
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
they just did it because they're stupid.
I mean, get all in your eyeballs for no reason.
Like, why do they have a
Michael
flashlight in
was
the
like-
first place?
Michael was like, oh, they're really good. I trained them myself. I'm like, well, you suck at training.
Yeah, exactly.
This is your security team? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I feel like the security team in general is incompetent. They're only good every once in a while when they show up to beat up like the bad guys. They're good at shooting things. Let me think about that. Are they good at shooting
They can
things?
do kicks. Like swinging from chandeliers and stuff.
Yeah, yep, those fights, those bar fights. So what ends up happening is we get to see a cool little interaction between Kosh and Sheridan, because like Kosh, he just kind of like shows up. In fact, he just shows up in a couple of spots in this episode, and
yeah,
it's off-putting because you see him more in this episode than any of the previous ones so far. And so Sheridan, he's all like, hey, I think we should get to know each other better. Maybe that would be cool. And Kosh is like, why? And Sheridan's like, oh, we could help each other. He's like, we can help each other.
Get to know each other.
And
it felt like this episode was like, let's go into the lore of Kosh without going into the lore of Kosh. What else can we pull from in order to throw some Kosh lore in there?
Yeah.
It was like the whole episode was the ship is sentient.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we already knew that there was spies. We already knew that the president was killed. Now we also know Franklin's GPA.
Yeah. Oh God. Yep.
Just like,
is he a nepo baby?
This was almost a filler. Yeah.
Was he a nepo baby at Harvard?
Well, did his dad go to Harvard?
You know what?
Or did his dad just push his power around at Harvard?
It's a good question. Oh man, we gotta dig into the lore here.
And then also, like, his dad really didn't approve of him being a doctor anyway. Not really. Like, he's proud of him, but that's not what he would have rather he been. Franklin would have been more of a Neko baby if he'd gone to the military. He tried to pave his own way, really. So I think him being the doctor was trying to get away from his father.
Probably. They're kind of like opposites ideologically. His father is a soldier who wants to kill things, and Franklin is a doctor who wants to save things, and they just cannot agree. Tisk tisk. So we saw that brief little thing, but after the down below situation with security, Cranston is like, hey, we really need to double check down below because we had a blip and we need to find them. And Sheridan is like, oh well, yeah, we should definitely check out down below because next thing you know, you're gonna tell me he's downtown. He's like, downtown. He's like, yeah, this little space over here, near the toilets.
The non-human toilet.
Yeah. He's like, why didn't you tell me about this? And he's like, oh well, it's all locked up and nobody can go down there. There's no reason for anyone to go there, which is probably true. So
it's all locked up with lead, which would block your signal.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to go there now.
Yeah. I thought that was hilarious, but it also shows Sheridan is starting to catch that Sinclair bug, right? He's learning how to bend the rules in his favor while he looks like he is complying with all of his power.
I think he learned that a lot. He got that lesson when they kicked him out of his apartment.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And actually, the way he's helping, he is helping them. He's giving them false information, but it looks like incompetence almost. He's not sharing it up front. He's not eager to do it. And they're like, what? Why didn't you tell me this?
Weaponized incompetence.
Yep. And so now security has to dig through all of that. Ivanova's like, downtown, what are you talking about? And he goes, they're like, well, I figured that was a good name. I figured that'll keep him busy for a few hours. This is where we find out that Kosh is like, okay, cool. You need to come down to my quarters. And
I said, okay, Zaddy.
Space Jesus Zaddy. Isn't that what Kosh is? Well, actually, who's the Space Jesus? That would kind of be Delenn, right? She resurrected.
She resurrected, yes.
Oh my God.
Like one of us. What if God? One of us.
There's an allegory there somewhere. We'll probably spend some time on that in another episode. But yeah, Kosh unexpectedly has Sheridan come down to his quarters. Remember, Kosh's quarters are in like the alien sector where there's methane to breathe for people. So Sheridan has to wear a mask. And this is where we find out that Kosh is like, okay, you're not really ready yet, but we're going to try to figure this out. I'm going to help make you ready. And Sheridan is all like, okay, cool. What do you want? And Kosh is like, don't ever ask that question.
Which playing like the parrot game. What do you want? What do you want? You asked. You wanted to see me. You wanted to see me. Like, is that what?
Yeah. Yep.
You don't know. You don't know.
I thought it was telling how he reacted to that, because that question, what do you want, is exactly what Morden was asking all of the ambassadors, and Kosh was just like not having it. It was like, no, don't ask me that. No, what don't even ask what you want. Because if we want to narrow Kosh down, it's narrowed down to this. It's not about what you want. And I'm gonna just let that hang in the air. Garibaldi and Franklin, they're continuing their search down below. This is where they have to stop and eat because they've been walking for 6 hours and they're chewing on some granola bars, some rations or something. Yeah, and
it looked like a Nutri-Grain bar.
Right, it was all crumbly and stuff.
It was,
and Franklin does have a really cool monologue here. He was explaining they were having a conversation about how space is not what they expected. They're in a space station. You know, he mentions how he did go to school under Jacobs, but it was at a time where they were like where Earth was very kind of full of itself. You know, they had defeated the Dilgar and they were expanding their influence throughout the galaxy. And I believe Franklin said, I think, what did he say? He said it's like when a kid wants a birthday present and then a parent gives it to him and then it loses all of its wonder. And he said that's what it's like with humans going to space. Like they wanted it so bad, they're expanding so bad, and then once they got there, it wasn't exciting anymore. Also, this happened before the Great War. Humans got their asses kicked, so yeah, they weren't happy about that.
And we're feeling a little bitter about it. And, they got the toy. It was kind of cool until you got hurt.
Right, you'll shoot your eye out, kid.
I like how was it Garibaldi who said that maybe they should have advertised the future as some assembly required. Like, right. That makes sense for a lot of things.
Yeah. Like they didn't have any, like all the stuff that they were expecting didn't happen, and then so many unexpected things happened, and now they're in a situation where the Earth government they're trying to find ways to have more power because the galaxy is such a unstable place now. And remember, we're in the middle of the Centauri-Narn War, and so there's a lot going on that for these people who are supposed to be diplomatic, they're on this station that is supposed to like champion peace, and there's a war going on, and now they have to like do spycraft to try to find this guy on the run. And so it's very interesting to just kind of look at that, because as fun as being in outer space is, as fun as this sci-fi stuff is, they're in danger. Everybody's in danger, and it's dumb. It's not fun. It's not smart. It's dumb.
Well, I mean, we could say that about like our opinion of today from the 90s.
Yeah, but I think the show is making a statement by showing how the problems that these people are running into are the exact same problems that people just got to deal with. Earth Force, Earth government is on the brink of collapse. The sector is at war, and they're trying to scramble to find allies. Their former enemy is kind of sort of taking a turn for militants. And then there's the Vorlons just hanging out, watching everything, talking about, yeah, y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready for this. You know what? You ain't ready for this, boy. You don't want none of this. You don't want no smoke.
You can't handle the truth.
Right. So Garibaldi sees that same merchant from earlier. He's about to sell the watch that was taken from Dr. Jacobs. This part was funny to me because the little lady who was going to buy the watch, she's mad, but then she looks at Garibaldi and then just bolts. She's like, nope. I'm out of here. And Franklin's like, "Hey, this is Jacob's watch. Where'd you get it from?" And he's all like, "Oh, I don't know. I just got it. Like what? Like what?" I can only assume that they stole the watch back. The guy didn't make any money off of that. He said 19th and 20th century too. Like he that's an antique watch. Like yeah.
Well, it was a wind up pocket watch.
Yeah.
Like we have digital pocket watches now.
It's probably silver.
Mm-hmm.
If you even have a pocket watch, which I do. I was looking up pocket watches when I was trying to do like a cyberpunk thing. And they make digital pocket watches. Yeah, so like a mechanical pocket watch is not all that common anymore.
I feel like didn't people used to make those by hand? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or at least they used to assemble them by hand. Very very intricate. So now we get to see Max contacts Cranston on the vid screen, and Max is wearing these god awful shades. And I'm like, what is happening?
I wear my stunner glasses.
He forgot he wasn't on a Disney movie.
Straight from a Goofy movie.
He's talking about he got the doctor, and he's like, I need it, but y'all give it back to you for $10,000. It's a finder's fee. You know, he's exaggerating his street talk, which let's face it, I love Bull from Night Court, but he's talking like a dude who used to play blues and jazz in a cover band. That's what he thinks cool is. So,
cool and tough.
Yeah.
But that reminds me of like a bad guy in like a kid show, like a little teen show back in the 90s.
Yeah, what he's gonna do?
Like, you're supposed to be scary, but not too scary that you actually scare the kids, but you're supposed to know that they're scary.
Yeah, like his version of being mean is he's gonna pick somebody up by their collar.
Yeah,
that's that's about it. And Cranston is like, okay, yeah, we'll pay you the money, no big deal. Can I say that everybody that wants to pay money in this episode is way too eager to pay money?
Yeah,
I'll pay you whatever. I want 10,000 credits. Okay. So with how eager the black man who wants to lynch white people was to just like give the 10,000 credits, that's just evidence that he didn't ask for enough. When people agree to what you say that quickly, your asking price is too low. Yeah. So when they think they'll be like, okay, then
I do like when during like that hostage scene where Jacobs is like, hey, let me go, I'll give you anything that you want, and then Max pulls out the knife. He's like, yeah, I know you will. And I'm like, that's cool. That was a cool scene. During their meeting, Kosh he has, we know that the Vorlons are saying that humans are not prepared to witness his true form. This is not even my final form. And he says people will not understand, so mystery about the Vorlons accentuated. When you see them, you will not understand things.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
I feel like they've already met sentient beings that don't have physical forms. How much could we not understand? Like, yeah, we're not going to understand, but Oh, and then the other thing was that the other doctor before him kind of went mad after seeing him.
Yeah, that dude disappeared. Anyway, because that means Vorlons have to be biological at the very least, right? Maybe.
Well, I mean, I've seen, probably I'm just crossing over. I've seen too much Star Trek to think that all beings are going to just be corporeal.
Oh yeah, because what was that in was that Voyager where they ran into photonic life forms?
And the original series and next generation.
Okay. So there's a bunch of light creatures out there. Just like energy creatures or light creatures. Discovery has one. No, I don't think it's got Discovery. Strange New World had one where they took the little girl. Oh yeah.
And it was safer for her there.
Yeah. In the nebula.
God, in tears. That was.
Did. Yeah, they wanted. They were harvesting tears with that episode. Ooh.
Monsters Inc.
With the kids episodes, they one, saving a kid's life, two, murdering a kid. All right, we'll get off of that. We'll get off of that for now. So
yeah, we'll come back to kid murder.
We do not condone kid murder, infanticide, or anything of the such as a policy with Voices in Hyperspace, but a lot of sci-fi just kind of explores that topic. Yeah.
Voices in Hyperspace, and we approve this message.
Yeah. So in the meanwhile, Garibaldi and Franklin, they find Dr. Jacobs and they mount a rescue. During this rescue, Mr. Garibaldi gets stabbed in the arm. Because why not? He doesn't come out of any interaction unscathed. So,
and this time he has an excuse to not. He has an excuse to not have backup. His only backup was Dr. Franklin.
Yo, that's right. That's a good point. And while Garibaldi is nursing his wound, Dr. Franklin, who apparently went to the school of Star Trek fight choreography, he punches the guy in the liver or in the kidney, which y'all, you gotta punch somebody really hard in the kidney for it to affect them. You gotta know how to punch. And then he double axe handles the dude in the back of the head, which again, you gotta hit really hard for that to work.
Maybe his dad taught him how to do that.
Maybe he watched Firefly and knows how to like affect those nerves to mess people up. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? He's a doctor.
Yeah.
He knows where the nerves are. Yeah.
So, okay, so we'll accept his fighting style. He can disable you with 2 hits.
His dad is also like a military general, professional, or whatever. Probably taught his boys how to fight.
Yeah.
And Franklin deliberately decided to do it the doctor's way so he could so he doesn't have to be quote unquote tough. I don't know.
Yeah, he likes being precise in everything he does.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, we don't know if he's a surgeon, but he does like operate on people, so possibly he's a surgeon too.
Yeah.
The show doesn't go too much into that. He was mixing some weird stuff during this episode. Did you notice that when Garibaldi was talking to him in med lab, he's walking around just mixing random stuff in tubes, and they're changing color, and Garibaldi's just standing there like,
They were getting ready to do surgery on the guy that was on the table,
which was
with his eyeball.
Yeah, they said be ready to open his octave nerve, and I'm like, what? Why is he conscious and you about to do the surgery on his eyes? Like,
what was that species? They're the carrion eaters. I forgot their. I'm blanking on their names right now. But with the squid faces. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, Cthulhu face.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say the first time I watched it. I'm like, he's about to do surgery on Cthulhu.
So Garibaldi and Franklin, they successfully rescue the doctor, and they're sitting down below. Garibaldi is getting field stitches, which that whole scene was ridiculous because Franklin's doing his job. Sheridan shows up and they're like, hey, we should probably get you to med lab. And he's like, nah, let's not go because we'll, I got to sign too many papers. I got to answer too many questions, basically, because Cranston's there. He's probably going to be like, oh, you got stabbed? What happened? Report, and he would have to. And Garibaldi's snarky response is like, just do your job, Doc. Make sure my arms are the same size. And I'm just like, that dude should have stabbed you in the heart. You shouldn't have been stabbed in the first. Like, doesn't he know better? I don't know.
Yeah, he was like in the war. Like, you've experienced worse. You have.
He's been shot in the back.
His yelps for pain were a bit excessive, in my opinion. Like, whatever stitches you're getting can't be that bad. And you jumping like that, you're gonna really mess up the doc's work.
It was like in his arm. I think maybe his deltoid or close to his bicep. It
was his left arm. You don't really be using it.
Let's put on the ticker. Garibaldi again was not watching his back.
Mm-hmm.
He got stabbed, turned his back, was gonna get stabbed in the back. Dr. Franklin came in the clutch, put the guy down with 2 hits. Bam, bam.
Thank you, man.
And they tied him up. And this is where they find out that Jacobs had, like, his his thing was stolen. His data chip was stolen.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that Max has it, and that it has all the medical information from the president. It's important that you get it because it's going to prove that he's a crook.
The whole reason why he ran.
So, Garibaldi is laying low, and Frank and Sheridan is like, we're going to go ahead and deal with this data crystal. In that confrontation, Garibaldi, he's the one, he has his arm stitched up and putting his, his hand in his pocket. That's where the jacket comes in. And he confronts him about the data crystal. So Max comes into the room where his friend was tied up, and Garibaldi steps out of the shadows. His arm is stitched up. It's in his pocket, and he's all like, I had a bad day. And he's shooting his PPG off, and he's like threatening him and stuff. He's scaring him.
That was very Dick Tracy of him. Oh.
Yeah. That's when they get the data crystal from Max, which, as big as that guy is, yeah, they made a big enough threat about the PPG. You don't want to get shot with one of those, and Garibaldi knows.
It don't matter how big you are. If I shoot you, you're gonna be dead.
And so, in the meantime, Cranston confronts Sheridan about withholding that information regarding the station's scanners. Cranston approaches them and is like, hey, you didn't tell us that our systems could work with your scanners. And they have a back and forth. Same thing with Ivanova. She's like, you didn't ask. How am I supposed to tell you something you don't ask me? And Sheridan's like, you're gonna have to like rewire everything to make it even work, and we don't know if it's gonna work with your stuff. Coming to find out, it'll take about 3 hours, and so they're gonna be doing that. In the meantime, there's a secret meeting between Franklin, Garibaldi, and Jacobs. The doctor explains what the contents of the crystal are and the implications, and Garibaldi proposes a sworn statement to add an additional safeguard because what if Jacobs dies? Sheridan says that he has a plan to help hide Jacobs from the scanners. So as the scanners are being prepared, they find it doesn't take that long. On the command deck, we got Cranston, Sheridan, and Ivanova. And while they're having this whole back and forth, while they're saying like, okay, we got these scanners set up, as soon as we initiate, we'll be able to find them. While that's going on, Ambassador Kosh contacts command deck, and he's has a request to leave the station. Ivanova immediately approves it, and they're having this back and forth about the search and how it really annoyed Sheridan. Like, you came here and you turned everything upside down, and you have us doing stuff that we ain't supposed to be doing. again, Kosh's ship is like, hey, they're ready to go to hyperspace. Do we give them permission? Ivanova's like, yeah, and Cranston's like, hold on, wait, no, you need to scan that ship.
Violating rules and stuff.
Right. And he's like, look, that's an ambassadorial ship. You like that's not right. And Cranston's like, it's no big deal. We can just scan them. We it's not gonna hurt anybody. Come on, man.
They're not going to know.
No,
Yeah.
never know. Their technology is 1,000 years ahead of ours, but they're not going to know they're being scanned.
They can hear you talking right now.
They're not gonna know. How would they know?
They're not gonna know. So they scan the ship, and they're like, in the computer, which I hate this computer voice. It's very generic. It says there is one life form.
I am a computer.
Exactly. And then Cranston is like, is it a human life form? Negative. Or whatever it says. I don't know. And
no, nigga.
Oh, God. And so then they're like, okay, let it jump to hyperspace. And then they turn on the scan system, and come to find out, lo and behold, the system doesn't find anything. Then Sheridan turns it to an 11. He's like, you come in here and you take away my crew, and we do all this stuff. We lay out the red carpet for you, and the dude ain't even here. And then Cranston's like, dang, I guess I was wrong. Right. You right. Look, I'm gonna get out of here. And y'all can pretend that I was never here. In fact, you can never say my name again, because no one will ever think that I was part of this show ever.
You know what? I'm gonna stop by Starbucks. You want something?
You want something to drink?
My bad.
And so they leave. Cranston, he gets, his team is getting ready to leave, and they're all like, sorry to inconvenience you. We're gonna go to the last place that Dr. Jacobs was seen, and we're gonna search there. Which wasn't that on Io? So this Jupiter station must be a big spot, right? In the meantime, the Vorlons ship returns from hyperspace, and it goes to Bay 13. The crew goes down there. It's Sheridan, Garibaldi, Ivanova, and the Vorlon ship throws up on the deck. This is where seeing this today, I wish they had a little bit more technology back then, because they could show the ship throwing up or pooping out a giant sack that they had to pull a person out of. Because all it did was disappear. Which, okay, I'll let that happen. But in my mind, it's wet and sticky because it's a bioship.
Right.
Ew.
Or at
Yeah.
least it dries up and it's crusty.
Ew. He has to eat it. To,
Peel off.
he has to eat it for nutrition to stay alive in the ship.
Yeah.
It's a placenta.
Yeah, that's why he was singing. The ship was singing to him, because that's his baby.
Oh, he was a human. He was
Temporary baby.
He was an adult-sized fetus.
Old man.
This is gross.
A hungry, angry baby. So yeah, they released Dr. Jacobs from the Vorlon ship, and just so everybody knows, the trick was Sheridan was able to get Kosh's help to hide Dr. Jacobs. The scans would not have penetrated the ship, but just in case they showed that it was a life form, Sheridan did suspect that the ship was alive, which that leaves a lot of questions about what the heck is even going on with the Vorlons again. And when Dr. Jacobs comes to, because he had to be unconscious during this, which I got some speculation about that. He probably would have been driven mad if he was conscious. But he was saying that the ship sang to him, and he looked disturbed, and makes me wonder what was the ship singing to him.
Music is a universal language. It might have just been melodies and rhythms.
It was singing Wednesday's version of Hush Little Baby.
Now I imagine that the ship was playing nothing but diss songs because it hated Dr. Jacobs, and he's just listening to the history of diss songs and rap the whole time.
In A minor.
Right. Later on, we see that Captain Sheridan meets with Sarah again. She's standing above him, being all snarky and assured of herself, and he's entrusting her with the evidence, and acknowledges it's insufficient for public revelation. This bothers me though. Like, we got evidence that this dude wasn't sick. He got off the boat because he knew it was gonna blow up. And she's like, yeah, that's not enough. We need to keep more. And
I don't think that is enough.
Yeah, but I feel like Sheridan had put together a lot of information in like since his reassignment to Babylon 5.
Enough to prove that they had something to do with killing the doctor?
Yeah, remember they had those transmitters, and they had several agents on the station making sure that the assassination took place.
Yeah.
Oh, but they disappeared.
Also,
that's right. They disappeared.
Yeah. A lot of stuff we know for sure, but they don't have it to prove that they can get around the psychics being able to disprove it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, prove it without a doubt.
Beyond the shadow of a doubt.
You lied about being sick, so that's not the same.
You should have died on that ship.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Should I just go die now? Actually,
that would help the state.
Why did you say you were sick to get off of the ship? Like, if you weren't sick, like, let's question that. And then, as soon as you start questioning that, here comes the Psychor.
Yeah. And it was Sinclair who actually made the first accusations about the assassination. And they got rid of him fast. It was like, you know what? Leave. Get out. Get out of my office. Don't clean out your desk. Security's escorting you to your car right now. As you go, here is a non-disclosure letter, a cease and desist, and we will fuck you up when you talk. Letter. And we draw out to a close as they once again wonder about how Vorlon ships work. It started the episode with a hole with the ship about to blast a hole in Sheridan's chest, and then it ends with the ship pooping out a person on the deck, and the episode is done.
Wow. Is it a uterus or is it an anus? You need to choose. They're not the same hole, Damian.
They're not the same hole, but I don't know how the ship's anatomy works.
We don't know.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It could.
Knowing Vorlons, that was an anus.
I want to think about like Bleach, where the captain of the 14th the fourth squad, she got this big monster that'll put things in in its mouth, and it's like a stasis pod for healing people.
And you just gotta hang out in the monster's mouth.
Yeah.
I grew a lima bean that way.
In a what? You grew a lima? Wait, hold on. Pause. What?
I put a lima bean in my mouth for a few days, and then it sprouted.
Oh yeah, we'd probably do that because it just needs moisture.
I don't think Damian's done it.
I usually do it in a baggie with a paper towel. But
why?
What?
You should try it. It's a
Why
really-
did you do that?
It's a strange sensation. It's like, you know how like penguins will carry the egg, and you can't drop the egg, right? Or it'll come out deformed.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
Come out
the
tap
thing.
dancing.
Come out tap dancing and won't grow any real penguin feathers. It's that same thing. Like with the lima bean, you kind of want to chew it, but you're like, oh no, it's my baby. It's growing, and you move it around, turn it over, make sure it's nice and warm on all sides. And then you still try to eat and drink throughout the day without eating your baby lima bean. I'm going to do that with that.
So weird.
So Anita, what that mouth do again?
It does what it does what that ship does. I'll tell you that.
Yes, the ship is a Zanpakuto.
Oh, say that again?
The ship is a Zanpakuto.
All right. I don't know that reference. Go ahead. Share with me.
It's from Bleach. Yeah. So their swords have different levels of growth. And the third level, it's like more sentient. And the captain of the fourth squad, hers is the one that puts people in their mouth to heal them.
Yuck.
So it's her Zanpakuto that goes up to the third level to heal people. Because she's the leader of the medical squad. Even though she's
she's a healer.
Serious.
She's a healer. Yeah.
She used to be a killer, and then she died, and I was sad. But she chose it.
You live by the sword, you die by the sword.
That's exactly what she did.
Yep.
You live by the kale, you die by the kale.
You say kill or kale?
Kale. People
like
who eat
the
kale.
leaf. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any last thoughts for this episode?
I thought my last thought was that this was like a way to finally sneak in some lore about Kosh.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then to be reminded, like, hey, remember how you don't know this shit about Kosh? Okay, just want to make sure you realize you still don't know shit about Kosh.
All right, here's even more about Kosh that you don't know.
Here's more nothing.
And his ship is gonna take a poop at your feet. It's either gonna blast a hole through your chest or poop at your feet. Yep.
After singing you songs.
They not like us. They like that ship don't like you.
Ooh, maybe it's like a pouch, like a marsupial.
Ew,
That
squish.
sounds-
It is squishy.
Okay.
There is
but
a
it's like designed for like in and out, so it's less crispy.
I saw
I
what
mean, but then it's a uterus.
it's a pouch like a seahorse. It's a uterus like a seahorse. The ship is male, and it holds the babies, and that's why it doesn't like Dr. Jacobs because the horse is aggressive because it's a male.
Oh, okay.
I'm just spitballing right now. I have no idea.
That's all we can do because we don't know anything about Kosh.
You know what? The ship is non-binary. It's gender fluid. It changes based on the needs of its fetuses.
Yo, so is Kosh a fetus of the ship? When he's driving the ship, he's a fetus. He's in a fetal position.
Yo.
0G. So my last impression is Garibaldi sucks at his job once again. In fact, he was no help at all. It was Franklin. Franklin did all the police work and the rescue.
Right. He was just there with him.
All Garibaldi did was shoot at a guy a couple
He
times.
probably would have gotten around better without him because everyone's afraid of the cop. But Franklin has a reputation of being a doctor, a free doctor down there. He could have went and questioned people and had a better chance because he has a better reputation down there.
Yeah.
But I don't think they used the same writer as some of the other episodes. Like they weren't consistent with Garibaldi's recklessness, and they weren't consistent with Franklin's understanding of down below. Because clearly he should know how to go down below. He used to hang out down there.
Yeah.
He used to smuggle people. He had a doctor's office lady.
I mean, I feel like that lady had the appropriate response to Garibaldi, because she saw Garibaldi breaking up that illegal cell, and then she looked at him and was like, "Oh, you're a cop. I'm out of here." And she just like left. We never saw her again. So yeah, Garibaldi sucks at his job.
Saw Garibaldi and all these cameras. Where the fuck these cameras come from?
Like, Garibaldi, you smell like a cop.
He's security. He's not an undercover cop. He needs to like actually hire people who can be undercover cops, because he's not. No. He needs to just be the chief of police. That's what he needs to do.
He smells like stale coffee and half-eaten donuts.
Oh my goodness. You know, like, even when he's trying to be dressed all like undercover, he's still dressed like a cop.
I know. He dressed like he has a wire somewhere on him.
Right?
It's in his hat, guys. It's in his hat. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Thank y'all for joining us, for having fun with this episode on Voices in Hyperspace. So you can continue the conversation on our Facebook at Voices in Hyperspace. Follow us on TikTok and our Facebook. It's going to be fun. Be sure to like, share, and follow our pages. You can find me, Legendary Black Lion. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. I am on Facebook, but I'm not going to talk to you there. Talk to me on those other places.
I'm Mel Asylum. You can find me at www.melsrebellion.com.
I am the Rebel Nita, and I be doing painting shit, so go to nitapainter.com to see what I'm doing and where I be at. Nita Painter everywhere. I was gonna say on Netflix. I am not on Netflix. What's that place called? Facebook. Instagram. Tickety Talk. I think I'm on the Snapchat. I got a WhatsApp the other day. Yeah. The end.
Hey y'all.
All right. And catch us next time for another episode of Voices of Hyperspace. Until then, we'll see you out there. Peace.
Bye.